Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi was directed by Richard Marquand and was released in 1983. Just a forewarning, this is going to be a spoiler review, so if you somehow have not seen Return of the Jedi, do not watch this video. It'll ruin the movie for you. And go watch it. This is something that I haven't really touched on in the other Star Wars reviews, but the opening crawl, the yellow letters that go up into the stars, it's now an iconic thing, but nothing like that had ever been done before in a movie.
It was definitely, like many things in Star Wars, first time for the movie industry, and it was really cool.
Right. Groundbreaking part of the movie. And after that opening crawl, we get an awesome opening scene. Probably, I think it's my favorite opening scene in any Star Wars movie.
I mean, because, Episode 5 ended with such a big cliffhanger.
Right.
And it addressed it right away, right out of the gates, which I loved about that movie. It didn't leave you, wondering for too long. It got to the point, got to exactly how they're going to save Han Solo. It was awesome.
Right. It set it up very quickly. It got right to where Episode 5 left off, and yet you can still tell that some time has passed.
Yeah.
It does it so perfectly.
Just with Luke's change of clothes, you can see that, he and his new lightsaber and everything, you can see that he's definitely changed and went through a lot. His demeanor when he's talking.
Yeah, exactly. That's
it.
His demeanor has changed quite a bit.
All that, you could tell that time has passed. He's grown a lot in his Jedi training. So I thought that was really cool.
And not only that, but just the scene itself is so exciting. I would say the first 30 minutes or so is spent on Tatooine rescuing Han Solo, and that 30 minutes is seriously so exciting.
Oh, yeah.
All of it. When each character comes in, like the droids come in and they're being given as a gift to Jabba. You see Lando is hiding out there. Princess Leia brings in Chewbacca, and then finally Luke comes in. It's such a great introduction, a reintroduction to all of the characters from the previous movies. And after that, you just get nonstop action and fun. Luke fights the Rancor. I never remember how he gets out of that situation, by the way. So every time I watch that scene, I'm like, how is Luke going to get out of this one? And then, of course, they fight their way out of the sail barge, knock Boba Fett into the Sarlacc pit.
Rest in peace.
Of course, this is a Star Wars movie, and the set design is impeccable. Every scene feels like the Star Wars galaxy. It's amazing how awesome the set design is on every scene. Whether you're on Tatooine, Endor, the Death Star 2, Dagobah.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell with each movie, it's just being able to expand further and further on this universe, just showing how big this is and how much potential it has. Is awesome. Right.
I think Star Wars is king for world building. Not only in their set design, but in their dialogue as well. So also in Return of the Jedi, I felt like the acting was stepped up.
Oh, yeah.
A lot from the other movies. And I don't think the other movies had bad acting by any means.
And that's saying something, because like you said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with their acting throughout the first two. I thought they did good, but it was definitely a step up.
But yeah, Mark Hamill was a stick-out to me, as well as Ian McDiarmid, who plays the Emperor. Every scene he's in, you can just tell he's like loving playing this character so much. He's so deep into that role. He does such a great job as the bad guy. And then, of course, Harrison Ford has brought one of the most iconic movie characters of all time to screen with Han Solo. We have not given him enough credit on our channel.
That's true.
He did such an awesome job. Like the other two before this movie, I feel like there's such a sense of adventure throughout the entire thing that I just don't feel as much in other movies.
So a lot of
Even
times,
today.
There's always slow parts of movies, it feels like, and always start, you can take a bathroom break during this time because it's not really important. With movies like this, I mean, you've got to stay for the whole thing. You don't want to ever get up out of your seat.
Right. I mean, it's not like every scene is an action scene.
Yeah, of course.
But even in those dialogue scenes, you want to stay because you just want to stay in that world. There's so much adventure even in the dialogue scenes. So, I mean, kudos to them for crafting such an epic adventure trilogy back then. They really pioneered what movies could be today. Like, obviously there had been adventure movies before then,
but nothing to this capacity.
Nothing to this scale. Yeah.
So something cool that I kind of came across, and once I read about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's true. Is the progression of Luke Skywalker's character. In the New Hope, he's actually wearing like white clothing, and you know, he's kind of a new Jedi. And then in the Empire Strikes Back, it's like he's wearing like brown clothing, so it's getting a little bit darker. And then in this last one, it's black. And I think it kind of shows his progression throughout just the Force and struggling with the light to dark sides. You know, in this movie, he kind of struggles a little bit with the dark side of the Force, and the Emperor obviously wanting to convert him to the dark side. And so I thought that was kind of cool, just that little detail, but at the same time, it's showing that not, you know, everyone's perfect. He is the hero, but he does still struggle with the dark side of the Force. And he even used the dark side of the Force a little bit towards the end, you know, with Darth Vader. He let his anger get the best of him to, you know, defeat Darth Vader. But still, I thought that was a really cool thing.
Right. And actually, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but after he had done that, after he had, you know, gone into his temptation and fed into the dark side a little bit, or tapped into the dark side a little bit, and defeated Vader, his black shirt kind of like turned open a little bit here, and it was gray. It was a lighter color. Yeah. To me, at least, that reveals that he's more of like a gray Jedi. Yeah.
Gray Jedi is kind of someone that doesn't go to like one side, like the Jedi are all the light side.
Sith are obviously all dark side. To me, this is saying like Luke is going to forge a new way for the Jedi, and that's going to be in the middle. He sees the faults and the failures of the Jedi before him, and obviously the faults of the dark side. Like the other entries in the franchise, this one splits its time with its main characters very well. Like, I feel like we got time with Luke, we got time with Han Solo, we got time with Princess Leia, we got time with Lando. It divides its time equally so that you feel like you get to spend enough time with that character.
Yeah, not focusing on just like one character, like they could easily have done with Luke Skywalker being, you know, the big Jedi and big hero and everything.
Right. So, unpopular opinion, Hunter, but I, for one, like the Ewoks.
It's a very popular opinion. Everyone likes the Ewoks.
Not everyone likes the Ewoks.
I'd say like 80% of the Star Wars universe likes the Ewoks.
I would disagree. I'm usually in the minority when I tell people I like the Ewoks.
I love the Ewoks. I don't know how anyone could ever hate the Ewoks.
I agree, man.
If you don't like the Ewoks, you need to like and subscribe right now.
Same if you do like the Ewoks, actually. But yeah, I like how George wrote them as sort of a metaphor for the Vietnam War. How it was a bunch of savages who were able to defeat this almighty empire. Yeah, I liked all those scenes on the Battle of Endor. It was a nice, fun battle. It was intense. It kind of kept you on your seat the whole way through. Like, oh no, how are these Ewoks and this small group of rebels going to defeat this large legion of stormtroopers, of the Emperor's best stormtroopers?
Yeah, and it was really interesting. Like, the one scene that just stuck out to me is when the Ewoks are running away after the Empire kind of gotten the upper hand at first, and the Ewoks actually like died, and like I thought that was like, wow, that's really intense for like a movie like this. I thought that just stuck out to me.
I agree. I like the inclusion of that scene. It showed that it was a real battle with consequences. It wasn't just like, oh, these little teddy bear creatures are going to defeat the Empire. Which is, I think, what a lot of people argue. But as you can see in the movie, the rebels used strategy to defeat the Empire. Right. Like, obviously, they were a little bit outgunned, you could say. But they just used strategy to their advantage and beat the Empire that way. And who wouldn't want to live in those awesome Ewok tree houses?
Oh, yeah.
Again, I like how we get to see new planets in this one, but yet we also get to return to a couple older planets like Tatooine and Dagobah. It has a great, fulfilling ending to not just this trilogy, but this saga as well. With Luke or Vader bringing balance to the Force, I think it's more so Vader really who brought the balance to the Force because he did defeat the Emperor. But the argument could be made that, you know, it was Luke who brought balance to the Force. But what an awesome lightsaber battle between Luke and Vader. And then the Emperor hops in there with his lightning.
Which is something that that's something they did a really good job with, is the lightsaber battles, because with the fourth one, it was just a small battle, just introduce you to the lightsabers and what they're kind of capable of. And with Empire Strikes Back, it was a longer, drawn-out scene between Vader and Luke Skywalker. And then with this one, it was full blown, you know, battle between Vader and, you know, Luke Skywalker. I thought that was awesome. And even we saw Darth Vader throw his lightsaber, which is something we hadn't seen before. So just the different things they can do with that, I thought that was awesome.
And then on top of that, there's so much emotion in that battle too.
Oh yeah.
With Luke struggling so hard and fighting for the light so hard against the Emperor's temptations.
And he's trying to get his father to see that he has light inside him too, and he's struggling because he doesn't want to obviously have to kill his father, but he also doesn't want to die himself. And it's just, he has so many emotions going out through this whole battle, and I think that's the main reason why he did turn to the dark side the way he did. Just because he just didn't know what to do anymore and just let out all of his anger.
It's as much an emotional battle as it was a physical battle, really. So something I've already kind of touched on, Hunter, was that this movie has such a great blend of intense moments, but also humor as well. And I think all of the Star Wars movies do this to an extent, but I really saw it in this one. It's able to have its dark moments, for sure, with the lightsaber duel at the end, but yet there's a lighthearted sense in certain areas as well.
Yeah.
And just because they throw a joke in there doesn't mean that the movie isn't like dark all of a sudden.
No.
It just needed a little bit of a pick-me-up. Like that C-3PO scene where the Ewoks think he's a god. That is so funny.
Oh yeah.
And you need engaging, funny moments like that to balance out a little bit more of the darker aspects of the movie.
And like we mentioned in our earlier reviews, the Han Solo C-3PO relationship throughout those movies, and then this one we see it because you know, Han's dangling over fire and trying to get C-3PO to let him, you know, free. It's hilarious.
Yes, the interactions with the characters are gold, and you can totally see how Marvel was influenced by this. By the way,
I think Star Wars kind of set down the recipe for how to make, like, you know, perfect blend of a movie with the humor and action and the darkness, all that together. Obviously, not every movie can replicate that, but Marvel's definitely, I would say, the closest.
Right, they laid the groundwork for all movies of that genre, I would say, in the future.
Yeah.
And how could we mention a Star Wars movie without mentioning how awesome the special effects were? The space battles.
And like with the Tatooine, with the skiffs.
And the Sarlacc pit, and all the aliens and the costume design. It was, of course, awesome. I mean, it's Star Wars. Which
is cool to see, like, the pirates that are in the Clone Wars, that's, like, iconic in Clone Wars. You see them in this movie, which is awesome.
I know, that was cool. I agree. And then the music. John Williams, thank you so much for composing this awesome score for all the movies. Especially that scene at the end where Luke is fighting Vader. The music just adds so much to the emotion in that scene for me. It's probably the most intense music, I think, for any Star Wars movie, is that scene. And then we reach the end where the galaxy is yet again free to live without an empire. You see the other planets rejoicing. Luke burns the body of his father, who did turn to the light side at the end. You see the Force ghosts of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin smiling at Luke, and Luke smiling back, celebrating with the rebellion on Endor with the Ewoks. It's just such a fulfilling ending. What would you rate Return of the Jedi?
Well, I rated the last one 10.1. I'm going to give this one a 10.2.
Wow, okay. I also have to give Return of the Jedi a 10 out of 10. And it ties with the other two Star Wars movies in this trilogy as my number 2 favorite movie of all time. I just kind of count them as all one big movie. They all flow together so well. Guys, we love Star Wars. Thanks for watching our review of Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Let us know what your favorite Star Wars movie is in the comments below, and what you thought of Return of the Jedi as well. Please make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it, and we'll see you for our next review.